Because I'm a DJ too. So college, I started DJing, and it's really started from house parties because it's Fort Collins. Like the music's gonna be garbage. People play Miley Cyrus and all that other shit. Now, shout out to Miley Cyrus. I love Miley Cyrus, but it's like niggas are not trying to get lit and listen to that. And at this point, I just kind of like got virtual DJ, and I was just DJing off my laptop. Like I didn't have money to get a DJ turntable. I was literally queuing songs and beat matching and doing everything like off my laptop, and I was rocking over 500 people capacity venues from like our organization on a consistent basis. So it's kind of like, in essence, I was doing sold out shows even then, and me doing 4-hour DJ sets like Joe K and rocking an entire party, like not even rapping. So it's crazy for my dynamic because there's a lot of people who might know me like, yo, he's a fucking crazy DJ. Then there's other people like, yo, he's a fucking phenomenal MC. But then I went to school for lighting design. So I also design lights, and I want to design stages for concerts and then booking. And so it's like the talent that, Live Nation, AEG, Cervantes, like all those booking companies know me. So it's kind of like, it's dope because it allows intersectionality to work, because when you're multidimensional, you're not stuck in the box. It allows me to not work within the same rules as any other artist. And yeah, I've just been allowing God to lead first, to be honest. And I've been getting blessed. And what's important is my IP and having ownership and leveraging. I'm not in a rush to be popping or to be blown up on social media. Like that's literally the least of my concern, because I'd rather not be famous, but I know it probably will happen. But I look up to like Cudi and them, like motherfuckers who like really like. I saw Cudi at Complex Con, like his return show. And I went to Complex Con like 5 times. And like, that's the first time I ever saw Cudi, and it was like grown ass men like sobbing.
Right.
And not to say there's nothing wrong with that, because more men should cry, but it's also like you just don't see that at concert.
It's powerful. Music is powerful.
Michael Jackson, not to say he's Michael Jackson, but it's because his music resonates. There's hella people who are like, "Kid, Cudi saved my life." Shit, he saved my life. I feel like that type of music gives me goosebumps, and that type of music lives forever. So I was more dedicated to building the craft of being a legacy act and being someone who also can change the game and be independent and stay 10 toes and make it happen. It's been happening.
Right.
A lot of independent artists are like popping off now. There's just other dynamics that kind of cut off a lot of artists' lives short, or whatever be happening,
Right, as we mentioned. So let's talk a little bit. You started so young. So the wisdom had to come in from somewhere. I mean, you mentioned meeting Travis Scott. You mentioned a lot. So I want to go back and kind of unpack that. So how would your parents describe what you do?
And I won't even say that the interaction with Travis was that positive, although that was just like a throw. I would say.
How would your parents describe what you do?
At first, like, they didn't really understand it. So it was like, even when I was going to meet Hit Boy, like, my mom didn't know who the fuck Hit Boy was. I literally made a whole presentation for my mom. Like, once I said Kanye West, Jay-Z, like, she was like, oh, shit. Like, she was like, oh, damn. Because, like, again, it's like, they've always seen my rap books around the house. But again,
now, you know what I mean? Now that you're opening, you're headlining for these people, or excuse me, you're not headlining, but you will be headlining the New Year's Eve show, which we'll get to that. But to go from where you were at 9 years old with your raps, booking, buying talent, moving through the industry, going to college for lighting, you're past that now. How would they describe what you do now?
Now they're on board.
They're on board.
But I mean, it's not even from a bad place. I can understand it from a parent's perspective. A lot of my rap books when I was younger was like therapy to me too. So I was saying a lot of crazy shit. So they kind of thought I was like, nigga, what's wrong with this nigga? But it's like, no, it's this creative expression. So it's going to be exaggerated. It's going to be a little over the top, but allows like maturity and growth to be there. So yeah, right now, like they're kind of starting to see the vision unfold. I feel like I kind of personally lived 20 years ahead because like this is one of three for a trilogy project, but I have three other trilogies that I have like kind of like ready to go.
Just in the
so,
bag waiting for the right time.
so that's 9 albums. So it's like again, I have a plan and a vision. I'm not like thirsty for a deal. I'm not thirsty for celebrity appraisal or fucking cosign. Like, been around the best of them, yo. Like either as a fly on the wall, either as booking them, either as opening for them. Like I've been around some of the best, and I would say like those experiences allow me to learn the wisdom. I'm not gonna lie, cause I went in through that shit like so green. I ain't know. I'm a kid from Colorado Springs, Colorado. Like what hip hop culture is really in Colorado Springs. Like shout out
Right.
to Pegasus. Like Pegasus probably one of the only ones. Top Flight Empire, like Tef is from Springs, like so those are the only two that we can name of, but they're from a different generation than us.
Right.
Moving forward, who do we have? So having those experiences and learning on the fly, like I learned a shit ton from Denzel Curry. I learned a shit ton from Jeff Turner from Team Backpack. I learned a lot from uh, Dizzy Wright. I learned a lot from Snow. I learned a lot from fucking shit, Lupe Fiasco and Mickey Fax. Like, there's a lot of people, and I'm appreciative and I'm blessed because it allowed me to see it with my own eyes, as well as just being on YouTube. Like, you should YouTube, like, all the information there. Like, that's how I learned how to engineer
Right.
originally. That's how I learned how to DJ, like, all that shit. So I kind of just used, like, whatever resources I had because I knew that I was fighting the uphill battle from the start.
So, being that you were working against gravity, as you just mentioned, how do you get from being 9 years old to opening for these artists? Is this a team effort? Is this trial and error? Is this you sending out 10 emails a day? I mean, clearly you have, excuse me, you have some network that maybe other artists wouldn't have, right? You have you're in with the booking agents and that sort of thing. Is that all it takes? What's the secret sauce to getting those stages, if you will? Because I mean, those are some big household names and they bring their own fans with them. So to have them present, it then in turn, you get to feed their fans your music, right? You're part of the buffet now. So if you could give your top 3 advice, top 3, here's the secret sauce, what would those be to bagging an artist like Snow the Product or Jhene Aiko or Dizzy Wright or whatever to be on the ticket with them?
Number one, I learned this in the entrepreneurship class at CSU. No idea is a bad idea,
Mm.
and I think hip hop more than any other genre is a lot more closed minded. I think that we're going to start now opening, not just now. I think that we've been expanding for decades, but it's been a slower process of fluidity within that genre, right? So be open minded as fuck because in theater they go tell you, okay, so if you're coming to theater school thinking you're gonna be fucking Denzel Washington, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, it's harsh. Like these niggas will tell you like,
Well, there's only one Denzel, and anyone who wants to be him is not gonna. No, they'll just hire Denzel.
they go tell you need to work, bro. They go tell
Yeah.
your ass need to work. If you want to be that, if you want to be great, then there's gonna be a lot of shit you ain't gonna want to do. So that was also instilled in me. I didn't really have an idea of me being a DJ. I didn't really have an idea of me booking talent. I didn't have an idea of me being a coordinator for bigger events, and that kind of happened because I was open minded and I was willing to try something new. But I also understood if I understand this dynamic of the industry, then bro, like I'm gonna be as strong and stronger than ever, and I'm gonna have leverage as an independent. Versus if I just focused on the creative and I was just stuck in my bedroom making 200 songs a year, which is nothing wrong with that. I
Right.
think that's incredible too because I don't treat music like a product. I treat it like stocks. I work at Fidelity now, like we're working
Right.
finance.
Investing.
Exactly. So it could be something that like maybe it's not popping right away, but in maybe a year, 3 years, 5 years, shit might blow the fuck up. And then with that, it also like inflates and appreciates your stock and like your value, and that's pretty much like why the importance of having publishing is so key. So yeah, I would say yeah, be open minded, try new things, and like the third advice for that, yeah, because I was sending an email, so like I would handle because I would like go on social media and be like, okay, who's the booking agent, or who's the promoter for this show, who's this, who's that, and I would just be emailing, you know. Not to say some of the homies didn't do some emailing, but bro, I was going stupid, bro. And I handled I handled the contracts, and
Yo.
I see a shoe like I was Reactfest coordinator because I came in the office like, yo, Reactfest sucks. Like they just brought the head and the heart, which like they're an incredible band, but I'm just like, bro, like can we get some hip hop or R&B in this bitch, like please. So
Right. Can we
yeah,
shift it up?
yep, I had to work a year to get to that position. And when I got to that position, like I was originally going to bring Kaylani, but she had to take an Australian tour. So I had to double back and then send some more offers. And then Jhene, I got Jhene, Eric Bellinger, and Chaz French. And that shit was phenomenal. And it was dope to see that much people of color like all in one space, especially for women. No doubt, Jhene was the first woman headliner in CSU history, and I was conscious of that.
Wow. Are you serious?
Ever. They started in
What
the
year was that?
I did Ramfest 2017 or 18.
Wow. And she's the first female headliner?
They've been bringing women, so it's kind of like it paved the way. Also,
Damn.
Tiffany Haddish came back the following year after I graduated. And I think they brought J.I.D, so they brought a black male, and then they brought I can't remember who they brought last year, but it's dope because now I'm seeing more people of color performing and being in the institution, and it's not my money, it's the institution money. So I rather like it being
Yeah.
the way artists is
Add a
doing.
zero on the end because it's in the budget.
So I, the manifest coordinator, I had to do everything like booking police to security to the marketing
Right.
budgets to talent to day of show operations to point of show contact to
Oh,
everything.
yeah.
And I also was doing that for Clash, but also performing. I was running around with the hat and then
Yeah.
and I fucking tear the stage down and then
Right.
regroup, then go to the other venue and then DJ for 4 hours straight for the after party. So I was like built for this shit. I was kind of doing that, not even kind of. I was in college for 5 years, so I'll say like 3 to 4 solid years of me just doing that nonstop traveling, just taking a leap of faith. So yeah, 3, take a leap of faith, like and do the work, man. Like my mantra is walk by faith, not by sight. But faith without work is dead.
Mm.
So it's like motherfuckers will pray and have the audacity to be like, oh, like this ain't real, this ain't real. And I just point out God, whatever higher being, and everyone's entitled. But it's also like, yo, like you have to just be open minded to like try new things. You know, they just told us aliens exist, and it's like we've been kind of new. Aliens existed, but
I
again,
mean, we've talked a lot about hard work, dedication, staying in your lane and moving out of your lane and when to know move out of your lane and exactly what time. How much of manifestation and luck plays into this?
I don't know if I believe in luck, yo, because I feel
See, I
like
don't either. I mean, I think that if you believe you're lucky, you're believing and you're putting out energy that you're lucky. And so certain things are going to line up for you. Where if you're like, oh, I'm not lucky, blah, 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 like all these negative things are going to come towards you because energy exchanges energy, right? So when it comes to energy exchange, have you ever been starstruck or, maybe fanboy when someone's come to the venue or you've had an opportunity to work with someone? Have you ever had to like really check yourself and been like, okay, breathe, like this is really happening?
I shook hands with Pharrell Williams and I was superstar shook. I was like, fuck. I was like, confident. All I could say was thank you, and he was just like,
Damn.
damn, bro. Like I'm like, damn, I'm sorry, bro. What? I was just so like,
What
yeah,
setting though? Were you
that's
like at a concert? Were you in the
a complex con.
studio? You were
So
what?
at Complex Con is like this convention in Long Beach.
Okay.
So like everybody, you meet everybody there. Like Tasha Murakami was like 20 feet away from me, like with like hundreds of people just following him. Cuddy's just walking around, like
Yeah.
I met Rico Nasty. I met Maxo Cream, G-Eazy, Nefta Pharaoh, like owners of Chinatown Market, Pleasures. Like, so everybody and everything is like in these conventions. That's what I was saying. Like, it really just a matter of placing yourself in the right places. Even as
Right, absolutely.
a fan, like you can't be saying I'm lucky when it's like, well, bro, like how lucky can I really be? Like if I'm gonna consistently go to festivals, if I love this artist and I can see them all the time, more than likely I'm probably gonna like meet the artist and get a picture with them or something. There's gonna be some type of interaction.
Right.
I believe in laws of attraction, you know.
Mm,
I think
I do
that
too.
preparation and hard work met with the opportunity and someone executing, yeah, you can manifest some incredible shit. I think these people don't understand that. I think some people, it's kind of like when people say black people in the Illuminati. Like, I think some people just can't believe that black people are making that much money, and it's like that's
It's a
that's
shame.
flabbergasting. It's like like you can't just
It's
give
a
it
shame.
off to a white man. Like you got me fucked up. That's not how it works. So it's like I don't believe in those constructs. You know what I'm saying? Like my faith, I would say like my faith is what really holds me down. You know, I'm not a gospel rapper. I talk my shit, but I would say my faith holds me down more than anything in my mission and my purpose.
So let's talk about that. What political or religious movements or ideals do you support?
At this point, I used to be like, I used to be people like BLM and all that shit. And it wasn't until because like the Elijah McClain, that was in Aurora, like that's out here. So I live in Denver, so I was at the protests, and honestly, like had a real crazy spiritual experience at those protests. And a lot of shit was going down. People getting stabbed, people getting shot up. Like it was wild because, again, there's nothing wrong with protesting. I think that that's one of the most effective forms of protest
Right.
or resistance um, that we know. But I think that sometimes is the issue. There's more to resistance than protesting and marching, and it's kind of like
Absolutely.
how you feel like about understanding my role and understanding my lane. It's the same shit with politics. It's the same shit with that. It's chess. So if
Right.
you protest, if then Mayor Hancock speaks with some of the organizers and is like, "Oh, let's take a little photo op. Let's da, 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 da." Now you kind of enter the realm of chess, where again, where we talked about earlier, the emotional response, like, "Why I should
Exactly.
be accountable, nigga?" Like, da, 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 da. And he's like, "Yeah, we go bring the police in. We go walk down the street. It's gonna look lovely." Okay, that has a lot of shit changed. No, she had to go federal for niggas to get justice. So
Right.
again, it's like that changed the dynamic of even what's going on in Colorado as a microcosm. No. So again, it's not to say that I felt like I was wasted time. Again, my spiritual experience was I was on a stage and I shared the story about Queen Nzinga, and I'm gonna do an album called Mubundu, and that's based off of like one of my like ancestral tribes, like from my father's side. So that's ancient Angola, and like if you look at Queen Nzinga, like she's one of the most successful fucking rulers, emperors, war leaders of all time in world history. But people don't talk about her, the black woman, you know.
There's a
And it's,
lot of things we don't talk about because people are afraid of what we're capable of if we think for ourselves. You know, if we pull back from the constructs and the product that we're being fed and the food we're being fed and the news we're being fed, the propaganda, then suddenly we're allowed to be human and we're allowed to make decisions for ourselves and we're allowed to speak for ourselves and think for ourselves and make music for ourselves and for people who collectively think like us, right? And when I think of that, there isn't a specific race or language that comes to mind for me anyway. You know what I'm trying to do with Morning Cup of Culture, it's everybody. And if it's not inclusive and it's not diverse and people don't feel belong, then I'm not doing my job, right? So let's talk about this TED Talk that you've got coming up in spring. How did you land a TED Talk, bro? Like, where does that start?
that is good, yeah. Um, and networking is key. It's not what
I
you know.
can't hear you.
Okay, you know.
Yeah, a little bit better.
I would say it's like not what you know is who you know, and network.
Ah, cheers to that.
What's funny about that is I applied to do TED like 2-3 times, and I've been and declined or not accepted.
Right.
I was on the phone with somebody from CSU, Dr. Carlos, and I used to work at RAM events. I was RAMFest coordinator, and my work is still resonating there. So
Right.
he knew of me, and it was nice to just connect. And I just told him, because I'm throwing my own festival in Fort Collins. So I'm like going crazy. I'm doing my own 2-day festival, like my own headlining festival, my shit. And I just been working with the city of Fort Collins and a lot of crazy people. So he's like, I love that. So they go like support, and they're a part of the festival now too. And he was telling me about TED, and he originally just wanted me to be a performer. And then we just like, I don't know, we was naturally talking about things, and he was like, bro, have you ever thought about speaking at TED? And I was like, oh shit, and I told him, well, yeah, I applied, but I didn't get picked. But yeah, I would love to. So he was like, he kind of like asked me on the spot, like, what would you talk about? So I don't want to spoil that yet.
Yeah,
What I
yeah,
will
of course.
what I will say is that it will be on the subject of culture cultivation, and it's an ideal that I created in college, and I did it for a murals project called The Art of Culture Cultivation. So pretty much everything that we talked about resistance, like what I do is festive resistance. So think of it like Jimi Hendrix and like John Lennon, like back in Vietnam. So it wasn't until there was certain exposure to like what was going on. So there was a social and political dynamic, as well as like the music being amplified what the message was going to be. And that message was for positive. The message was for let's not go to war, let's make peace, let's do this. And troops came back home. So, and they credit that to like music. So that's the resistance is huge, and that's a worldwide thing. That's like America's not the only place to experience something like that. Music is extremely diplomatic. So you kind of see it, from that spectrum and from that realm. Honestly, yeah.
That's dope, man. That's dope. Like when I hear TED Talks, I'm always like, you should do a TED Talk. You should do a TED Talk. But I'm glad that someone that I think should do a TED Talk is actually bringing that to the stage and curating that or cultivating. However you want to manifest that, do that, bro. Do that. Um,
Thank you.
let's do this. Okay, if Kent Washington was an advocate for, I want you to fill in the blank. So Kent Washington is an advocate for
Independence.
I love that. Through everything, through music, through thought, through presence.
Yeah, everything.
Because I think independence is a vague but very powerful concept.
Yeah, because it's supposed to be just for you. So independence might mean different to me, you, and to everybody else. So whatever independence is to you, as long as like there's healing and there's a purpose and a mission attached.
I love that. If you could be remembered for what thing, what would it be?
I want to be remembered for being a great human first.
Mm.
He has an incredible heart, and I care about people, and I'm family oriented. That comes first. For like Kent Washington, the man. But then, as far as like my legacy, someone who wasn't afraid and paved the way. Paved the way like Quincy. I want to be here long. So I want to be seeing like the fruits of my labor, as well as passing the baton to see how we push this message of healing. And again, healing, I'm not turned up ass record. I'm gonna be shouting, screaming, gonna be mosh pits, like. But again, there's like a dynamic to it, right? Because mosh pits was originally created to release. So when you look at punk history, it's like you fall, and still to this day, it's like you fall. Hey man, chill, let's get it back up. All right, push your back. You good? All right, push your ass back in the pit. We good. You good? Because it's really about like, yo, you had a fuck up day, you had a fuck up week. life ain't going well. It's like that's really a safe haven for people to release. You know, it's not to fuck people up. It looks like it, but it's just a different way of expression. So for me, I embody all that shit. You know, I'm not really like bubblegum, very like just multidimensional. I could be on my Zen shit and be deep like inner child and like I don't know if you heard the intro yet. Multiply.
I
Um,
did.
I was about to send you RP Pimp C, but I was like, I'm gonna send it to you though. That's just
I'm loving these tracks that I'm hearing and this info that I'm getting before the New Year's Eve drop. So thank you, cause the Alive in the Dark that hasn't come out yet, right?
is out now.
Oh, it is out? Okay. I thought it was dropping New Year's Eve for some reason. I'm like, what?
The
What?
album, the album will be out on New Year's Eve. I have 4 singles out. So yeah, Inner Child, Alive in the Dark, CKDR, and AM to PM.
Okay. Let's talk about New Year's Eve. Children of the Indigo New Year's Eve. Is this an event that people can come to? Is this something that we can tap in on the live? How do we participate in this New Year's Eve event?
So yeah, New Year's Eve the album will drop. I believe that the music video will be edited and ready to go by New Year's Eve too. So yeah, exclusive. Y'all will get a music video on New Year's Eve.
That's dope.
And I was tripping shrooms too, so
That's what's up.
I cried. It was wild. It was very artistic though. It was very crazy and it's very minimal. It was just a light with a blue gel over it, so it was just a blue empty space and me performing and then me just rapping. Super
Oh, I'm
crazy.
excited.
So that and then New Year's Day will be the secret headlining show.
Oh, New Year's
So
Day. Okay, I was thinking it was New Year's Eve for some reason.
so I have a venue in Denver who's like super dope and they love the idea. And I was already selling tickets low key before like they confirmed and they loved it. And I worked with them before. So what's cool about it is that we will tell the ticket holders like the location like beforehand, and then yeah, we're just gonna like have this crazy ass event. We have sponsors buying tickets from me,
I
so
love that.
it's
I
like
love that.
good now. So yeah, I just wanted to do something dope for for New Year's and at least the album be out for New Year's Eve, so people can have 24 hours to like listen to the album and dissect it. Is 9 songs and it's about 33 minutes, 34 minutes long. So I think it's like perfect like for an introductory album. But again, like keep in mind there's a trilogy being built. So at some point, all these songs will be like combined to be listened to like all at once.
Will
So
you send me the album art? Because I got the other drops, but I didn't get the album art. I would love to have the
I'm
album art.
gonna send you the album. You can just listen to it.
So I do ask my guests one question, but before we get to that, what is your biggest challenge that you're facing in your current role?
Hmm. I would say leveraging for financial.
Okay, like sponsorships and that kind of stuff.
I think sponsorships have been good. I think just like leveraging for bigger partnerships, like to bring in more
Oh, I see.
revenue. So realistically, to make it as an independent, like you really have to be raking in like over 6 figures, realistically. So
Realistically.
I don't have that. So at this point, it's like, I mean, continue to be a good person, network, do what I need to do. But also conscious enough to be like, well, I'm not just trying to take money just from anybody either. I'm not trying to sign a fuck up deal and recoup some shit. I'm not trying to be you just getting, angel investors, like a lot of that shit comes with strings attached and a thumb up your ass and no one's touching my IP. I'm very consistent. So it's just me executing a plan where I can do that without having to go through those waters. And I think that's why like this tour is very important. Like I'm going on next year because I think that's gonna allow me to leverage like that type of like revenue, and then also understanding business credit. And I have my LLCs, and I can sign myself. So what the fuck? So yeah, I'm leveraging to do that. So then I just bet on myself, and done it enough to know like what works, what doesn't work, and yeah, and learning more to delegate, because I do be doing this shit all by myself most of the time. But I am learning to delegate and building a good team, and knowing like who to send the work to and who my mentors are. And shout out to Murs too from Strange Music. Like, Murs is one of my mentors right now too, and he's been giving me a lot of great advice and just learning a lot. And he's been giving back to Fort Collins hip hop. So shout out to Murs for being a resource too.
He's one of my favorite artists. I love that you shout him out. So, how do we find you on social media? What's the easiest way to get in touch with you or tap in?
Easiest way, Kenny the Indigo on all platforms. So at Kenny the Indigo, trifectarecords.net is my website and my label. This is the inner child video. Like that's kind of like a shortcut to watch the music video. YouTube, y'all can just look up Trifecta Records or just Kent Washington. Yeah, Inner Child. And I have other music videos from previous projects up on there too. So, yeah.
I'll make sure you're tapped in on all of these. So the last question I'm going to ask is a little bit different question, but it's always something I like to ask because it gives you an opportunity to maybe touch on something. So basically, if you were me and you were asking you the questions, what question would you ask yourself that I haven't asked already?
What can we expect from Kent Washington in five
I'm
years?
sorry?
What can we expect from Kent Washington in 5 years?
Ah, what can we expect from you in the next 5 years? What can we look forward to?
Biggest artist. Actually, I will be one of the biggest artists in the world. Like I'm just saying, 5 years. That's no time. I just know it because like I just feel like it's divine timing. I know God's been preparing me. 5 years is plenty. So I have ideas from a lot of different companies. Ideas to build 7 to 8, 9 streams of income revenue. So 5 is like, yo, like, you want some fuck hip hop shit? I got that on lock. Beyond that, how I got built for my family is just financial stability. And then on top of that, when I say fuck hip hop, double S or love hip hop, how can I give back? And how can I teach and empower artists like, bro, you can do this shit and not need a label. Now, I'm not saying labels are bad. I think that there's ways for you to leverage and have good business with labels, but you have to have leverage first. And not everyone's going to be your friend, but there are also some cool and really good people like that maneuver within the industry and business. So it's just a matter of what cards you're kind of dealt, what kind of networking, what kind of network you have. I think anything's possible. There's so much like, as much as it's bad shit, there's a lot of great shit too. So who knows if the right people and the right situation comes, I would want to do a partnership. I'm not signing like it has to be a partnership with Trifecta. Like this is not, like I learned too much from like Nip and Russ Dolph and everybody else. So yeah, I really do see myself being like a name out of nowhere. Like people are just like, what the fuck? Like a Cuddy, like a Childish Gambino,
Yeah.
Andre 2000. I'm not trying to be in the headlines for bullshit. I'm coming out swinging with the art, giving y'all the experiences, giving y'all like I feel like I'm Kanye level when it comes to live performances. Cause that's the nigga who I studied since I was a child. I was like, no one understands that more than fucking me. I studied theater, bro. I understand. He knows what's up. And he was like in the Mecca and in Europe, understanding everything. I aspire to be the best version of myself and be a better son, better man, and just continue to build with amazing people like you. So I appreciate you always holding the platform.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too. Is there anything we left out?
Everything, shorty. I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm a little high, but it's like I feel very content and happy of this. This is good energy, and I just appreciate the platform again, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. Morning Cup of Culture, we don't say goodbye. We build communities and make music. If y'all want to be a part of the conversation or the movement or the community, tap in morningcupofculture@gmail.com. I love to have feedback. So talk your shit. Make sure y'all send in your feedback. Good, bad, otherwise, I don't care. Send it. morningcupofculture@gmail.com.